directed for Montessori schools, both within the country and outside the country. So with that, I will hand over this class to his safe hands. Thank you so much. And I would want every participant to be expectant, drop down notes, and also remember that whatever he's going to drop today is just a taster of the total package he'll be giving to us 26th and 27th. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, I would like to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to Mrs. Innocent, Dr. Adidabala Olofa, and everybody listening to me wherever you are. I say very beautiful evening. And for those probably outside the country, say good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Abraham Ogunkanmbi. Thank you very much, Mrs. Innocent Mogalo, for the introduction. And it's a very great privilege for me to be invited as one of the facilitators for this year's Paradigm Shift 2026. I'm very excited about it. And I say thank you to the organizer. Thank you, Dr. Adidamala Lofa, as well. And I'll be speaking on raising creative learners through the Montessori philosophy, Montessori method, maybe for the next 15, 20 minutes. And of course, this is a tester class. We're going to have the very comprehensive presentation next week when everybody will be at Festac for this year's conference. So now, what's the objective of this presentation? The objective, very, very quickly. There are a lot of objectives. I just want to pick about 3 out of them. The first is, in this presentation, and of course next week, we are going to learn about the Montesorri Principles, understanding the Montesorri Principles, and how we can promote creativity in classrooms, and how we can also support independent learners. These are just the basic objectives, but there are more. Now, why creativity? Why does it matter? I think it is very, very important that we help our pupils, our students to become very creative, because it's the core of the 21st century skill. Yes, it is the core of the 21st century skill. Children have to be creative. Adults have to be very creative in whatever we do. And that's the essence of saying, let's have this presentation using the Montessori method of education. And it's also, it matters. Creativity matters also because it drives innovation and problem solving. Children that are creative will be able to innovate, and they'll be able to solve a lot of problems. And Montessori has come very, very handy even to be able to do this. And it's also going to build confidence and expression. So creativity matters because it will build confidence and expression. Now, let me talk about Dr. Mara Montessori, okay, who actually founded the Montessori method of education. Maria Montessori was born in Cheraville in the province of Ancona on the 31st of August, 1870. And she died on the 6th May, 1952 in Holland. And during her time, during the time of Dr. Maria Montessori, it was thought that if you're a female child, you go to school at all, you are expected to be trained to become a teacher, nothing more. And because our parents wanted her to be trained as a teacher, they moved from the village where they were staying and they moved to Rome, the capital of Italy, during that period when Maria Montessori was just 10 years old. Of course, when they got there, Maria Montessori started to exhibit her independent spirit. She enrolled in a boys' technical college. And by the time she finished her program in the boys' technical college, she developed interest in subjects like mathematics, chemistry, biology, and some other aspect of sciences. And she made up her mind she was going to study medicine. She applied for a place at the University of Rome for many years. Maria Montessori was denied admission just because of the fact that she was a female, female gender. But she persisted, and eventually she was actually admitted in the University of Rome, and she met with a lot of problems, disappointment. People didn't like her, including the professors, just because she was a female student. But she persisted, she went on, and she became the first woman to bag a degree in medicine in 1896. And she was on top of her class. So the first appointment she had was at the psychiatry department of the University of Rome. And that's where she came in contact with little children with disabilities. And as an educator, as a scientist, started to study them and was documenting her discovery about the child. And that was what formed the Montesorri philosophy of education that we have today. And at that moment, she just felt, well, she wasn't going to be a medical doctor anymore. She switched into teaching. So she traveled from Rome, she traveled to London, she was in Paris to be able to study the work of giant psychologists. And when she returned back to Italy, he was made the professor of pedagogic anthropology in 1903. And of course, started publishing books, training teachers. And the first opportunity for her to establish a Montessori school was in 1907, when she was invited by the government of Italy. And the name of the school she established was Casa dei Bambini, which means the children's house. And from there, her popularity grew around the world. She traveled to America, she was in France, she was in London, she went to India, and so many other places to establish Montessori method of education, which I'm introducing to maybe a few of us today, and some who must have been trained in Montessori will probably be hearing this in a new dimension. Now, let's talk about creativity in Montessori method of education. There are a lot of things that shows that in the Montessori classroom, children are trained to become creative. The first is choice of activities. Now, it's different from traditional settings. From the age of 2.5, when a child enters the Montessori nursery school, it has opportunity to choose activities according to the age appropriate activities under the tutelage of Montessori directors and Montessori directresses. And there's what we call exploration of interest. He or she explores different kind of the thing, which makes him or her to be very creative, makes him to be very, very creative. And those are the things that we're talking about today. Then creative materials. We'll be talking about the 5 Montessori curriculum areas. And because they are hands-on exercises, hands-on materials, it makes children to be very creative. And they use materials in different forms. There's nothing like stereotype in the Montessori environment. You can explore, use your brain the way you want to use it, use your hands the way you want to use it, and come up with creative things. And also, Montessori materials are sensory-based. They are sensory-based in such a way that the shelves are arranged according to the 5 Montessori curriculum areas. Children go there, bring out the materials, work with those materials, and return them back to their appropriate space. It creates discipline, it makes them to be very creative. And during my presentation next week, I'll be sharing with you the pictures and names of renowned people all over the world who have attended Montessori school one time or the other. And they will tell you that they became what they are today because of that opportunity to have been trained in a Montessori environment. Now, Montessori curriculum, there are 5 Montessori curriculum areas. The first one is, which is what is called practical life exercises. Practical life exercises, which has 4 different areas. And these are just 2 pictures to depict what we're talking about. Under area 1 of practical life exercises, we have a child to my left, and the directress, the child is doing pouring exercise, pouring of beans from one cup to another. This starts from the age of 2 years, 2.5 upwards. And there are a lot of benefits the child will be learning from this. He learns independence, he's able to develop his intelligence, develop high hand coordination, he develops creativity, and of course, he becomes socially responsible. Just to the right, the picture shows a child that is doing what's called threading exercises. As he's threading the beads on the shoelace, he's making a lot of impressions. He's, of course, preparing for mathematics because it also teaches about what we call patterns. And so I will be talking more about practical life exercises during the presentation next week. The second curriculum area in the Montessori philosophy is what we call sensorial education. And there are a lot of sensorial materials to train children on sensorial education. And what is the meaning of sensorial education? Sensorial education is a particular major curriculum area of Montessori. And on the shelf, or the sensorial shelf, materials are arranged sequentially to be able to refine the senses of the child. In Montessori, we have more than 5 senses. We have about 9 senses: chromatic sense, sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of touch, sense of sight, sense of taste, and there are materials to teach all of them. Like the few pictures that I have here, we have right here, we have what we call the brushes, we have the long rods, and all of them are in base 10, indirectly preparing the child for mathematics. And that's the creativity we're talking about. Then we have color bus 3, we have knob cylinders, knoblet cylinders, pink tower. All of them are in base 10. When the child is working with this, it's indirectly preparing for mathematics. It's indirectly preparing for sequencing. There's what we call proportionality of dimension, which leads to creativity. So sensory education prepares the child for a lot of things, most especially refinement of the senses. And we have the mathematics curriculum area. From the age of 2 years, the child is learning about mathematics, how to write, and of course, the Montessori environment, the child will write, okay, before he or she reads. That's what Montessori teaches, and it's hands-on. When you say this is number 1, the child is going to trace the sandpaper letters. He will, as he's tracing, he's learning the writing directionality as well as the name of that particular number. And it does that progressively, starting from number 1 to number 10. The child moves on to 20 to 30, and that is it. And of course, when I was going through this course in England in 1991, 1992, I said, wow, if I were to have been introduced to this before, because I went to the university when I was young, maybe I would have become a professor at the age of 15. It's called so wonderful. That's Bird's Eye View, where we have the golden beads and large number cards. So a child in a nursery school, in a Montessori nursery school, working with mathematics materials, learn how to count from number 1 to thousands using concrete material. I'm not saying writing, but he counts, he recognizes, and that prepares the child creatively for mathematics. Then the language curriculum is another curriculum area in the Montessori philosophy, which is very, very interesting. And of course, language introduces the child to listening skills, speaking skill, reading skill, and writing skill. These are the 4 major skills that the child is learning in the language curriculum area. And it teaches the phonic sounds. That was the first time during my course that I had the opportunity to have been introduced to phonic sounds. So in a Montessori environment, we do not teach names of letters until probably the child is about 5 years and is going to primary school. But in preschool, he learns phonic sounds. And it can sound words like b, a, g, ba, r, e, d, re, tru, e, tree, fl, a, g, flag. And it's not, something that is abstract. The child sees the Montessori materials, interact with them, which leads to creativity. So in the Montessori environment, the beauty of this is basically about what we call internalization of concept and not rote learning. And it's so awesome. Now, before I conclude, there's another curriculum area, which is the cultural curriculum area in the Montessori system of education. Under the cultural subjects, the following topics are covered: geography, science, biology, and history. Every other curriculum areas that is aside mathematics and language, everything comes under the cultural subjects. And a child that is properly brought up in a Montessori environment, who must have worked with, what we call the cultural subjects, learns about the 7 continents, even before the age of 4 years. He knows the 7 continents. I read geography up until from 5 in those days. I didn't know the 7 continents, despite the fact that I also did geography at the College of Education, NC level. But Any child in a Montessori environment will tell you all the 7 continents of the world. It will tell you plant and animals that are found in those continents. It's going to also tell you about quite a number of things that has historical background using the Montessori materials, So it's so rich to the extent that when the child finishes in preschool, that is your 5 years or 6 years going to primary, he has been sufficiently prepared creatively to be able to enjoy schooling. And it takes all of this knowledge up onto the university level. And of course, they are, they become citizens of the world. And that's what Montessori mentioned. When Montessori was actually developing her philosophy, she was made the professor of pedagogic anthropology of the University of Rome in 1904, as she started lecturing and training teachers all over the world. She wrote many, many books. But during the Second World War, between 1939 and 1945, there was a lot of persecution in Italy. And because of her philosophy, some philosophers, some professors, they didn't like her because they believed she was just too much, that the whole world was talking about Montessori. So they wanted to assassinate her. So she relocated to Holland. And she wrote it in her will that wherever she died, that's where she should be buried. And because she regarded herself as the first citizen of the world. She traveled around the world, established Montessori schools, Montessori teacher training centers, and also worked with a particular architect. And being a scientist, you just give them certain drawings and say, I want this to be named this. And those names are called. And today, out of creativity that is found in Montessori, it is part of what we're doing now. It's a multi-billion-dollar, business. Some are into teaching like me. Some are into lecturing like me too. Some people are just selling Montessori material. Some are manufacturing Montessori material. Some are writing Montessori books like I write too, and I sell. So what this woman created has so much influenced the entire world to the extent that it has brought about a lot of creativity. Children stand out. And I want to say there are lots of programs and these different educational philosophies that have been prepared, that have been propounded by different individuals all over the world. Montessori is one of them. It has worked, it's working, and I want to believe it will continue to work. I'd like to conclude my presentation this evening by saying that the Montessori method we're talking about will definitely encourage creativity in children because they will become creative thinkers. In fact, Montessori believes that Montessori children, they are trained to believe that they think outside the box. At some point, they also tell you there's no box. There's no box at all. So they become very creative. And with the Montessori method of education, we are out to raise creative learners. We are out to raise creative learners. As we are able to get, children that are very creative, they're innovative, there's going to be lots of inventions all over the world. Before people Montessori children finish secondary school, go to the university, they've discovered themselves. They know what they want to achieve. So I want to stop here because it's the taster class. And on that basis, I'd like to say thank you very much for having me this evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Abraham Ogunkanmbi. Oh, I'm sure some of us will have questions to ask. But before then, I'd like to tell us that this is Taster Class 2 or Taster Classes 2. I don't know which English to use there. And they are Taster classes for our forthcoming training. That's our forthcoming Edu conference. It's an Edu conference. It's a 2-day Edu conference. A 2-day Edu conference, which is hybrid in nature. By hybrid, I mean that you can attend it in Lagos, or you can join us online like this for people who are far away. So you can join us online like this. So there's no, and it is a free session, very free. There's no hidden price or hidden fee there. Everything is totally free. For the people who will be coming to Lagos, please, Mr. Ogunkanmbi, don't go away.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here, sir.
Thank you, sir. So for those people who will be attending Lagos, as I said during my own TasterClass session, somebody came all the way from the UK last year to Lagos to attend the Edu conference. So wherever you are in Nigeria, you can attend. But if for one reason or the other you're not able to attend, then no problem at all. You can still join us online. Now I'll be dropping a link because some of us have not registered online, and it's very compulsory to register online. It is free, but you have to register. So as I'm talking to you now, I'm dropping the link to register online so that we can make adequate preparation for you. We need to know who and who will join online and who and who will join physically. The space we are going to use, of course, is limited in capacity. So please note that when you register online, you're going to have your name on our register, on our attendance register, so that when you come, you can be checked into the hall. But if you don't register and the place is full, we'll not be able to allow you to enter. So please, I have dropped the link to register right here on Zoom. Check the chat box. You're going to see it there on Zoom. Please go ahead now and register. There are people that are coming solo. There are also people that are coming with their team, teaching staff. For instance, now this Zoom you are using can take only 100 people. It can't take more than 100 at a time. So if you don't register, you won't have the link to join online. And for people that are coming physically, I've already told you, there will be an attendance printed before you come. We just check you in as you come for the 2 days. We want you to come. Last year was a bomb. This year will be much better. So that's what I want to tell us now. I've already dropped the link to join. There's also a phone number you can save in case you want to find your way to the place to be able to call. So if anybody has a question, please kindly raise up your hand so that we can unmute you. Yes, we can unmute you. And then you ask your question. If you also want to drop your question as a chat, please go ahead and drop it as a chat. Anybody who would like to ask a question so that we can unmute you to ask. The presenter is still around to answer your questions. But don't forget, the topic on Montesorri is not just on Montesorri, it is raising creative learners. Is a little bit higher than what you must have learned before in Montesorri. Okay, this is Montesorri. How do we use it to raise creative learners, not cognitive learners at all? The century has gone beyond children just understanding and mastering head knowledge. What the world seeks for now is above knowledge. It's above A3, A1, A star. Yes, a child will get A star, but there's also experience the child must be able to get, because in the workplace or in real life, your high score may not fit in, because to be brilliant and to be smart are two different things. Anybody having a question to ask? I think I've seen somebody dropping. Okay. Okay. Don't worry. Chat me up and I'll send it to you. Any question before we call it a day? Okay. Okay. In case you came in midway, or you want to share tonight's short session with your staff, together with the one we did 2 days ago, chat me up on WhatsApp. I'll send you the link to view them. There is one on Facebook. Tonight's own is on YouTube. You can keep watching it. So, okay, it's like there's nobody have any question. Over to you, Mrs. Innocent. Please, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Adedamola. And a very big thank you to Mr. Abraham Ogunkanmbi. About Montessori, I'm actually looking forward to the training, one. Then I also want to thank you for tonight's taster class. You know why? Because there are a lot of myths around the Montessori teachings and philosophy. And it's such a beautiful thing, hearing it firsthand from somebody that has been there, that has been a director of school, that has trained both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Because the truth there is that a lot of schools, maybe in a bid to market or advertise, they just include Montessori as part of the name of the schools. These Montessori schools, and you find a whole lot of parents just drift to that school because they saw Montessori in between the names. And uh, at the end of the day, when you get there, you discover that even the people involved, they don't they don't even they don't understand what Montessori is all about. And also sometimes too, even school owners, they fall into the what was it called? They fall into the trap, or when somebody comes, maybe parade a certificate of I did Montessori trainings. I too, I was a victim at a point until I went for some trainings in Montessori. Then I just look back at those people that came around and said, what was it called? They did Montessori, and seeing how vast Montessori can be, and how Montessori teaches, basically everything. I was shocked to know that Montessori teaches even zero, and there's an apparatus to teach only zero. You know, I can't really thank you enough, and I know not just me, but other participants and school head, they'll be looking forward to that, because so that you can demystify some of these myths concerning it, and these people that parade themselves as Montessori majors. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
madam. It's my
God,
pleasure.
God bless you. God bless you, sir.
All
Because having
right.
somebody like you, it will gradually bring in an end to the mockery around that Montessori. Because the truth there is that the mockeries around it, because everybody parades themselves as Montessori majors, and most schools just put it in front of their billboard as Montessori schools. Why? So thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
very much, Mrs. Innocent.
okay. I don't
Thank
know,
you very
doctor.
much.
Can I just spend about 1 minute,
Please go
1 or 2
ahead, sir.
minutes to talk about that?
Okay.
Now,
Please
now
go ahead, sir.
yes, I quite agree with you, madam, for what we have observed. We have also observed that many years ago, even when I was the director of Montessori at Igbenendo Education Center, and later on at Greenspan School, and in many other places that I've taught and where I have been to. The problem with Nigerians is that many Nigerians are gullible. Okay, we're very gullible. We don't want to learn. We're very parochial, and we want to just move with the crowd, which is very unfortunate. And so one of the things we are doing, most of us that are experts in Montessori, is that we have established, association with which we want to work with government, and if we're able to get that go ahead, we will be moving around schools for what we call accreditation.
Good,
like
good.
yes, I agree with you. There are some, they've just used the name Montessori to be able to sell the school, and the gullible parent will just get that. They don't even know what's going on, and they pay, and that's unfortunate. Some of those schools,
and they are paying for that name. They will pay for
Yes,
that.
yes, yeah.
Unfortunately, and it's only the proprietors of the school that Montessori train. Some of them, the few Montessori materials they have are locked up in a particular store, and that is not Montessori. So if you want to know an ideal Montessori environment, is an environment that operates what's called vertical age grouping, like what I established at Greenspan School before I left. Greenspan School, after 30 years, I changed the school from what we call the previous arrangement to horizontal grouping to vertical grouping. You get to any of the Montessori schools in Anthony campus, Ikoyi campus, and Lekki, what you're going to find is this. Children between the age of 2 and 6 years are in the same classroom environment doing different things. And Montessori materials are arranged in the 5 curricula in each classroom, not one class, not one store somewhere. So there are a lot to talk about next week during the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogunkanmbi. That was a beautiful one. Just before we go, Mrs. Fabi is saying they are paying for services not rendered. Is it because we don't have style in Nigeria?
Yes, now,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Just before we go, I just want to intimate us with some of the topics that will be coming on the 26th and 27th of February at the EDU conference, Paradigm Shift 2026. Whatever thing I say now has been the topics. The taster classes for them is still ongoing. For instance, 2 days ago, I handled a taster class on teaching smarter with AI. During my session, it will be purely practical, and to be very transformational. That is on that day. So I'm sure that Montesorri 2 will be practical as well, because the topic is raising creative learners. Yes, with the Montesorri Principle. Despite this, we'll be having more taster classes. So in 2 days' time, because it's every 2 days, in 2 days' time, that will be on Wednesday, 18th February, in 2 days' time. We're having Dr. Sundays Simeon Fowowe from Lagos State University of Education, last week. He's a dean of faculty there. He'll be handling us on design thinking for innovation. He'll be there too at the EDU conference. After 2 days, which will be Friday, 28th February, Dr. Leo Igwe. Dr. Leo Igwe is a global academician, and his core is critical thinking. So he'll be handling us on Friday taster class from thinking critically to thinking innovatively. Then on Sunday, towards evening time by 8 p.m. like this, we'll be having the former head of school, former principal of Olasio International School, a woman that I so much respect, by the name Undudi Abeli. She's a trained counselor. So she'll be handling school leaders on trauma-informed leadership, how leaders can cope with all forms of trauma. The taster class is on Sunday. She'll also be there live at the EDU conference. Then on Tuesday, lastly, that will be, 2 days before the real program, before the D-Day. The hostess herself, is it host or hostess? You understand, Sha? Madam Mola Innocent, she'll be handling us on emotional intelligence in school leadership. every school leader who will not break down psychologically or health or bodily must be intelligent in his or her emotion. So, Madam, will be handling us on TasterClass next week, Tuesday, by 8 p.m. So these are just the things we have. Don't forget to register. Thank you so very much for your time here. Hoping to see you in 2 days' time to meet Dr. Sunday Simeon Fowowe for Design Thinking for Innovation. Thank you very much and have a beautiful night rest.
Good night, sir.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
See you on
Thank you, sir.
Wednesday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
And
Yes, bye.
also, good night to every participant. Have a peaceful night rest. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.